And we're going to start off the draft. First pick is going to Dark Angels. And we'll see where they're going to take this.
Radiance ban.
Also, if there are any audio issues, either on the Dota TV ticket or on Twitch TV, please tell me
Dyer's ban.
so that I can address those. And Timbersly is going to be the first ban out by the Radiant team. One of the strong offlaners that are in the pool, and definitely a good idea to ban them out early. A very versatile pick. Also, Venomancer, another one of those strong picks, as he can be run in multiple ways and is a strong support that can delay the game and also gank fairly effectively with Venomous Gale. And just an annoying hero to deal with, so Cede Nullis not wanting to play against that. And Bristleback going to be banned out by Dark Angels. So two very strong offlaners, very tanky and often hard to deal with. Bristleback especially. Very strong level 1. And when he does get those early levels, he can be a nuisance to deal with.
10 seconds to go. 5 seconds. Reserve time.
And going into reserve time for this first pick, or second band, excuse me, in the first stage. And this is the first game of the tournament, and Visage is going to be banned out. A strong support. Works very well in tri-lanes, but even in a dual lane situation, can still be very effective. And with those Visage familiars, it's a very strong hero. And Crystal Maiden, first pickup from the Dark Angels, can't really argue with it. A very strong support in this patch. That aura really helping out a lot of the lanes. This patch seems to be focused more around the early game, and Crystal Maiden definitely helps you get an early game advantage with the roaming that she can do, as well as the lockdown in the early game.
To go.
And we'll see how Cede Nullis is going to respond to this.
5 seconds. Reserve time.
Spending a lot of time thinking about these first couple picks. They do set the tone for the draft and are very important. Let's see. Clock is ticking. And Clockwork going to pick it up. Probably the best offlaner still left in the pool. Can get a lot with very few items, and those early levels on Clockwork allow him to gank effectively around the map. And it's really hard to zone him out of the lane. And he can even win certain matchups, even against dual lanes. Not sure what the pinging's about. I can hear some pings in the background.
What's with all the scribbling?
And apparently people are drawing on the map, but I can't see it. So I won't worry about it too much. And they're going to follow up the Clockwork with... Oh, it looks like they're going to take their time as well. Clockwork, good against Crystal Maiden. Very easy hero to pick off if she's caught out of position.
Reserve time.
This is very important, as it is a best of one. There's really not a lot of room for error. If one team loses this game, they won't advance to the next stage. So definitely spending a lot of time on this draft and making sure that everything's in order. However, they are burning through a lot of their bonus time, which could be important later on in the draft. Pretty much all of it's almost gone. Very deliberate draft from Cede Nullis. And Luna, a strong teamfight hero, however, laning stage tends to struggle, and Alchemist going to be snatched up by the Dark Angels. Could be looking to support Alchemist, or possibly putting them mid. A very versatile pick as well, and very good to pick up very early. Surprised it wasn't banned out by either team, but I think their bans were just fine. Bane going to be taken out by Dark Angels, not wanting to deal with Bane Mirana. This is a very strong combo, or could be setting up towards a Lifestealer pick as their carry of choice. Alchemist and Crystal Maiden as a support duo can roam very effectively around the map and get a lot of kills and shut down a lane very effectively. And Storm Spirit is going to be banned out. A strong mid player, or mid hero rather, I should say, and does pair very well with the Lifestealer, and with the Bane ban out, could be where they're heading. And Lich going to be banned out by Dark Angels. Lich I don't think is very strong, and he doesn't really synergize well with Luna and Clockwork because he takes away from the pushing power of the Luna, which is really where she shines, that early game pushing as well as team fights. And Lich kind of detracts away from that. It's a very passive support and would definitely be able to be punished by Crystal Maiden Alchemist roaming duo. So not quite sure where that ban is coming from. But he's definitely not a bad hero and does have a couple of niche places, so it could be looking to set up a very greedy hero in these next couple of picks for their position 1 carry with the room that they'll be creating with the Crystal Maiden and Alchemist. However, they could be putting the Alchemist mid as well. It's hard to tell as of now.
10 seconds to go.
And Death Prophet going to be banned out by Cede Nullis. A very strong pusher. They might have wanted to take her up for themselves if they wanted to go pretty much all in with the pushing with the Luna as well as Death Prophet. They don't have any supports on the side of Cede Nullis, so that could be the thinking behind the Bane and Lich ban, as they're going to be focusing on the support picks in these next two. At least one support's going to be picked up now. Unless that is a support Clockwork. I highly doubt it. He really doesn't function that well without, levels, but it could be an option. Let's see. Clock running very low for Cede Nullis, and they're going to pick up a Dazzle. Dazzle's a hero that hasn't been seen very much in 6.79, however in 6.8, he wasn't really touched all that much. However, the extra 4 seconds on his ultimate are very nice, and has put more of a focus on Dazzle. I think it was always kind of a strong hero, and is really good babysitter, and can gank as well, if you do opt to max Poison Touch as well. Really good in team fights for taking down the armor. Possible minus armor strategy coming out from Cede Nullis.
5 seconds. Reserve time.
And we'll see where Dark Angels want to go from here. Their first couple of picks really don't give anything away from their overall strategy. Luna might be in a little bit of trouble against the Crystal Maiden and Alchemist. The damage that they can get with them, as well as the control from the Crystal Maiden and Alchemist, would be very dangerous for the Luna. They could solo roam the Alchemist and leave Crystal Maiden in a lane alone. Alchemist as a sport really does need to get a lot done in the early game, though, to be effective. You kind of have to roam him. Having him sit in a lane really doesn't help you all that much. Situationally, it could be good, but generally speaking, an aggressive support if he's played as a support. The front half of the draft is taking a very long time, both teams putting a lot of thought into these next couple of picks. Respecting the importance of a draft, and Mirana is going to be picked up.
Dyer's pick.
I actually would really like to see a Shadow Demon pick up by Dark Angels. Having the Shadow Demon against a Luna or with a Luna is really nice, because of the disruption, giving you those illusions from Luna with the bouncing glaives. Really good with and against Luna. And it also gives a nice setup for the Mirana arrow if they're well coordinated. A Shadow Demon Mirana lane is not to be underestimated. So I think that would be a great pickup for Dark Angels, and Cede Nullis might want to consider that, and Shadow Shaman's going to be a pickup from them.
Radiant's pick.
As a support, a fairly greedy support definitely needs his levels, but once he does get them, he's a very strong hero, and Viper are going to be the pickup from Dark Angels. So it looks like they could be going in towards a safe lane carry as their next pick, or possibly an off lane hero if they do want to safe lane the Mirana. But Viper, the advantage of picking up a Viper now,
10 seconds to go.
I think, is that he wins pretty much every lane that he's up against. So anything that they decide to put mid, if they're putting the Dazzle mid, he's definitely going to have a hard time. Clockwork is not going to do very well at all, and will probably be completely zoned away from last hits.
5
And
seconds.
even when he's soaking experience, still needs to be careful. So let's put Cede Nullis in a bit of a precarious situation. And next going to be banned up by Cede,
Radiant's ban.
or Cede Nullis rather. Let's see. And Dark Angels gonna ban the Queen of Pain. So they're looking at a support Dazzle, and I don't think I disagree with them. It would be very interesting to see the Dazzle mid, or something out of the ordinary, but it could work. they'd be putting a lot of... And Invoker's going to be the last pickup by Cede Nullis. Invoker kind of ignored for this whole drafting stage. One of those very strong heroes, Quaswex Invoker, very difficult to deal with, and I think he could probably lane fairly effectively against a Viper, depending on what build he goes for. Quas Exort Invoker with the Forged Spirits might be able to last hit. And then again, it always comes down to execution in the end, and how they're going to lane this as well. They could be pulling a trick out of Admiral Boltdog's book and going offlane Viper. And Gyrocopter going to be the last pickup. A very strong teamfight-oriented carry that I think is still relatively strong, even after the several nerfs to his flat cannon. I'm not sure I like it here. Let's see how these lanes are going to go. The killing potential from Cede Nullis in the lane is fairly limited, and if they go for standard laning, it'll be difficult to see. And there's going to be a quick pause coming out from Supri. And I think that'll give me time to introduce our teams. We're going to have Crowman playing on the Alchemist. Looks like he's going to be a roaming support. And the other support is going to be White playing the Crystal Maiden. Viper is going to be taken up by Viper. Probably going towards the mid lane. Nightmare is going to be played by Nightmare is going to be playing Mirana, probably taking her to the off lane, and Ader is going to the safe lane as that Gyrocopter. On the Dire team, we're going to have Zizu playing the Dazzle, probably going to be supporting the Luna, who's going to be played by Lion in the safe lane. Supri taking up the Clockwork, more than likely heading towards that off lane, and Sunazor is going to be playing the Invoker. Freezer is going to be the secondary support, playing the Shadow Shaman. A couple of pings coming out. I don't think anybody's really bought any items as of yet, so not a lot to talk about. And we'll just have to wait for this pause to subside. And it looks like we might be jumping in. Excuse me. Yep, so that's going to be the end of the pause. And we'll see how these lanes work out for both teams. Wards picked up by the Mirana. No, those are both from the Crystal Maiden. She passed both of the wards to the offlane Mirana. And she's going to TP out very early, possibly expecting a tri-lane from the Dire team. She's going to place out those wards very aggressively, spending 135 gold for the TP. Very expensive, but it will guarantee that she will get the wards down. Not quite sure if it's worth it. However, getting the extra aggressive wards will be very nice. We'll have to see how that pays off. And the mid lane is going to be played by Viper, starting out with just regen as well as Slippers of Agility. And let's see, Clockwork squibbling something out over here. And it looks like they did... They probably will guess that it is warded soon enough. But taking out that pull is very nice. As a tri-lane is forming up in this top lane with Lion, as well as the two supports up in the top, they're probably going to want to block off this pull here, so that the Dire doesn't get the pull. And smiley faces all around. And a defensive tri-lane is coming out with the Gyrocopter, played by Ader, and the Alchemist, as well as Crystal Maiden. I'd assume that they're going to be rotating very early, especially with the Smoke of Deceit picked up on the Alchemist. Crystal Maiden opting for a lot of Iron Branches. Interesting. Looks almost like a pseudo bottle rush, but I think she pulled the TP scroll as well as the wards towards that Mirana. So that'd be why. And Illusion Rune is going to spawn top. Dazzle looks like he's going to pick it up. He does have sentries to try to deward if he so chooses. In the mid lane, Viper might be in a little bit of trouble. Shadow Shaman is in the vicinity, and not quite sure if he's going to make it go on the Viper. Invoker, not really the strongest for getting killed, especially at level 1. Once he does get Cold Snap at level 2, there might be some merit to trying to get a gank. And it looks like Shadow Shaman is just going to back off into his own woods. And Mirana going to be left here by our team, just kind of soaking experience. The kill potential, let's see. Dazzle still hasn't skilled anything up, and just going to be harassing back the Mirana. Clockwork in the bottom lane. He was pulled to tank up. And ping's coming out from the Shadow Shaman. Let's see, it looks like they want to make a go on this Mirana. However, he doesn't have Hex or his Shackles, so no lockdown coming out from the Shadow Shaman, so the kill potential from this lane is severely limited. However, the harass is considerable with the Luna Aura. Viper going to be rotating towards the top, just kind of just going to take out the Dazzle Illusion. It was going to expire anyway. Didn't want to have to deal with it. Probably could have left it just fine. Let's see. Alchemist and Crystal Maiden not really doing much in this lane. They might want to go and try and make a kill on the Invoker. It would be nice to shut him down fairly early. Clockwork playing very defensively back here, pulling the creeps just a little bit back so he can ensure that he gets experience. Dazzle looks like he wants to stack a camp. We'll see. Very passive as of now. Invoker does have level 3 and 2 points up into Quas, so Cold Snap will be very effective. Getting good harass. Rotation in from the Dazzle. Going for the wraparound. He doesn't have his point skilled, and he is going to skill that point into Poison Touch, but Viper is going to back off. And let's see if he's going to go into the... if he is past the stairs, but Dazzle is going to rotate up towards back up towards the top lane, excuse me. And Invisibility Rune is going to spawn bottom, but nobody has vision of it, so nobody's going to go for that as of yet. Let's see, Alchemist might pick that up. No, it looks like he's just going to be pulling the wave. And let's see if he gets a double pull off. Just killing off these ghosts. And Clockwork knows that something fishy is going on since the creeps aren't there. And he's going to soak some experience from this pull. Looks like Invoker will get the Invis rune down in bottom lane. 2 blades of attack up on him. Working towards those early phase boots. Invoker really doesn't get bottle very often in the middle lane. And neither does Viper. Neither of them very dependent on bottle crowing. And Dazzle going to be pulling the wave as well. Not sure if he's going to get this off. He might. And it looks like just a little more harass coming out on the Mirana from that Ether Shock. She really hasn't gotten very much out of this off lane. Clockwork definitely getting the better out of the two. And a lot more experience than the Mirana. Only Leap. She doesn't even have a skill into arrow, so she really can't do anything as of now. I think she could probably be getting a little more aggressive in terms of getting the experience. They definitely have a lot less kill potential than this bottom lane. And she does have Leap skilled, so if anything starts to go bad, they don't have any true disables. Well, now they do with the Shackles up on Shadow Shaman. But Leap should keep her safe, especially if only Dazzle. And she's going to throw out the arrow, but it's not going to land on anybody, just kind of scouting. And she has managed to pick up her level 2. In terms of last hits, the Luna pretty much hasn't been contested at all in this top lane since they have been against the Mirana. Let's see. Levels on Shadow Shaman. Comparable to the Mirana. But their supports are kind of lacking, as they haven't really been pulling all that much. Alchemist sitting at level 2. They should probably rotate towards mid and see if they can get a kill onto the Invoker. Speaking of the Invoker, he does pick up an Illusion Rune. This will help him last hitting against the Viper. The Viper really hasn't been doing as well against the Invoker as I thought, especially early. Once he has the phase boots up, he is able to last hit fairly effectively against the Viper. Viper, what's his build looking like? He is maxing the poison attack, but not really aggressively harassing with it. And he does have the Crystal Maiden aura, so you should probably be using that a little more to try to get the Invoker off of the lane. Invoker absolutely crushing this Viper, which is rather surprising. 21-9 to the 8, or 9-1 rather, on the Viper. Down bottom lane. Clockwork has the creeps back at his tower, so he will be able to get lots of experience out of this. Let's see, Mirana. Still sitting at level 2. Hardly any experience more. And Viper falling very low. Sorry for missing that. Invoker able to get the kill with the Cold Snap as well as the illusions. Getting off that last hit. Sorry for missing the first blood. Wasn't really expecting that to happen with no rotations from the supports. And we are going to have a DC from Viper. With the Invoker hitting so much, I definitely see Cede Nullis pulling ahead with a huge advantage in this early game, especially since Luna is going for an extremely greedy build, getting out Midas at about 5 minutes. I don't think they're going to be able to punish this in the current state of things. They really need to make a move onto this Luna. But they're really not doing anything. Invoker, after his phase boots, he could probably go for Midas as well. Not really necessary on a Quaswex Invoker. However, it would boost his levels significantly. We'll have to see. But Cede Nullis is definitely getting a lot out of this early game. Hardly any kills have gone down. Only Invoker picking up a solo kill on the Viper. Probably just playing a little too early. Tornado and Cold Snap are very strong spells. A lot of interesting things coming out on the minimap as of now. And it looks like we're good to go. Invoker putting a little pressure on this tower in the middle lane, or tier 1 tower, but not really doing much. And he is going to go for drums next, I'd assume, after picking up that bracer. Dazzle sitting in the woods. Not quite sure what he's doing here. Not really time for a pull or a stack. Let's see, Mirana rotating through. Dazzle just kind of AFK here. And arrow going to fly. And it's going to land onto the Dazzle. Not really enough to capitalize on that. They should know that this is worded, however the word is going to expire very shortly. Not sure if Dazzle is having connection problems or not, but he's just kind of sitting there. Let's see, Invoker in the lane, sending a bracer out to himself. And Gyrocopter. He's getting CS in this bottom lane against the Clockwork. Not too much of a surprise here, and he does have his phase drums up. But not going greedy, and not rotating the supports is really hurting Dark Angels as of now. I think had they put a little more pressure onto the Invoker and the other lanes, it would have been fine. I think after you zone out the Clockwork, maybe get a kill on him, and play a little more aggressively against him, and zone him out of lane, you can rotate fairly freely. See, and Sage's Mask is picked up on the Invoker, so maybe not going straight into the drums. Possibly Yule's Scepter next, which would help with his mana sustain, as well as the extra movement speed. It's really nice on Wex Invoker, because he can move around fairly freely. And another pull coming out from the Shadow Shaman. Very passive from these supports, and I think this definitely favors TCN in this game. Rotation off of the offlane from the Mirana, trying to make a kill. 4 heroes, from the Radiant team are going onto this Invoker in the middle lane. He's playing extremely forward. Arrow not going to be on the mark. He should know that he should probably back Viper playing very front, and he is going to eat the Cold Snap, and the Alchemist does have the stun. However, with the Tornado, he might stun himself. No, it looks like he's going to back off. However, the stun is coming on the Alchemist, and the Invoker is probably going to get a kill here. No Frost Nova, as well as the Viper ultimate coming out onto the Invoker. TP in from the Clockwork, trying to make something out of this. Ghostwalk is invoked, and it looks like Invoker is going to be just fine. He is standing into the Acid Spray, and the Battery Assault from the Viper. Cogs are not going to get the Viper inside them, so he won't be able to get a kill there. And with that, it looks like that's going to be the end. Another stun coming out on the Alchemist. He almost killed himself with that. Unfortunate for him. And with that, the Dire team is going to put a lot of pressure onto this tier 1 in the top lane. Gyrocopter generally enjoying that the Clockwork is leaving the lane. However, not much to fear, as the Clockwork is out of mana and no hookshot for him. And the Glyph is going to be forced out by the Radiant team, but it looks like they're not going to be able to defend. This is going to be pretty much a free tier 1 tower, and the rotation completely going to fail. All it costs the Cede Nullis was that teleport in from the Clockwork, and they were able to keep the Invoker alive. With the 2 stuns on himself, the Alchemist really not doing much, and possibly just a little bit of misplay after the change where you can't stun for as long, or you can't channel the stun for as long. Rather, it is different. And arrow going to fly from the Mirana, going to land on the Luna, but nobody's going to be able to capitalize on that. Nobody in the vicinity. And they're going to put more pressure onto this tier 2 tower. Huge rotation coming in from all over the map. And looks like with that, Cede Nullis is going to back off. Invoker with a haste rune, looking to see if anything's coming mid, and he's going to TP down to the bottom lane. Defend against this push from the Gyrocopter. He needs to be careful. Hookshot is going to land on the Gyro, as well as the EMP going to drain all of his mana. Call down coming out, but not going to do enough damage onto the Clockwork. Barely going to phase him, and that's going to be a free kill onto their carry. Let's see, in terms of net worth, falling behind fairly quickly. Cede Nullis starting to run away with this game. Dark Angel's not really getting anything out of this early game. And with the support Alchemist, he really hasn't done much. He does have his brand boots, but that's about it. And Shadow Shaman, he has gotten a lot of levels. He's going to have the Serpent Wards up fairly quickly, and he does have Arcane Boots, which will help with spamming out the Aether Shock and pushing as well. Ron needs to be very careful here. That could be a kill if they were in range for the Shackles. But she's going to be able to leap away and be just fine. And it looks like Cede Nullis is going to put some pressure onto this tier 2 tower in top, as Dark Angels are rotating down in the bottom lane to try to defend against the Invoker as well as the Clockwork. They're playing very reactionary as of now. Clockwork needs to be careful. Invoker is going to be spotted out, but Tornado EMP going to land on 3 heroes and going to kill the Personal Maiden with just the power cogs coming out from the Clockwork. And with that, they're going to be very tentative of going in. No mana on the Alchemist as of yet. The EMP does so much in terms of control. And, excuse me, Invoker running in very aggressively here. He might be in a lot of trouble. Stun coming out from the Alchemist. This probably is going to be the death of him. Drum charge going to be spent. However, he's so darn fast with the Wex. Going to be invoking Quas to help with the regen. It looks like that's going to be the end of him. However, Clockwork is going to jump in again, gets the cogs on 2, and with a little help from the creeps, the Clockwork is going to be able to get the kill on the Mirana. Viper in a little bit of trouble. It looks like the Clockwork is going to fall. However, he's getting a lot of damage onto this Gyrocopter. One more auto attack from the Viper will be enough to clean up the Clockwork. So a little bit over aggression. However, in the meantime, the tier 2 tower is going to fall, so space created by Cede Nullis in that situation. Only 2 heroes committed, jumping into 4 probably a little bit recklessly. However, they're able to get the better trade, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this tower very easily with the Mass Serpent Wards in the middle lane. So that's a tower down in the middle lane. Map control falling apart very quickly for Dark Angels, not dominating the middle lane with the Viper Arrow going to fly from the Rana. Not going to land on anybody, not even creep. And Frostbite coming out onto the Shadow Shaman. He is falling very low. He's going to turn the Crystal Maiden into a chicken. However, the stun coming out from the Alchemist. Shallow Grave coming out from the Dazzle. He died to 1 more tick from the poison damage. However, they're not going to be able to get it. EMP coming out, going to drain most of the mana from the Alchemist. I don't think he has enough mana for the stun. In fact, it's on cooldown. And it wouldn't matter. In the back lines, are able to pick off the Crystal Maiden with the Mass Serpent Wards, just standing there a little too long, and Alchemist going to back off. Tornado, the range from that is ridiculous, going to catch 2 of them, and Alchemist is going to fall to 1 last auto attack. Missile is flying from, excuse me, the Gyrocopter. That is a buyback from the Mirana to try to get the kill. A buyback that did essentially nothing in that last engagement. And with that, Cede Nullis is going to put their eyes towards this bottom tower. I believe Clockwork has finished up Power Treads. Let's see, Invoker is at the drums, sitting on 1,500 gold on him, and he is going to pick up a Staff of Wizardry, probably towards that Yule's. In the middle lane, Dark Angels is grouping up as 5. They feel that they really can't do much, and I tend to agree with them. However, they're not really getting any farm on this Gyrocopter. He really doesn't have much. However, Call Down as well as Rocket Barrage do a considerable amount of damage, especially in this early game. Hastrun is going to spawn top, and it looks like that's going to be given to the Gyrocopter. With that, he might look to make a kill happen onto the Shadow Shaman up top. No, they're going to try to push down mid, Dazzle the Soul Defender as of now, and there's engagement pulling out in the backlines. Arrow from the Mirana going to fly, not going to land on anybody. However, Invoker going to take down the Crystal Maiden with just the Tornado EMP combo. And Clockwork going to hook in, going to get a good cogs on 2 heroes. However, he's going to pay with that for his life. Shallow Grave going to keep him alive, however, and they are going to be able to turn this around. I'm not sure if the poison damage is going to take him. They're going to send him home, and he's going to survive. Well played by Cede Nullis. Very impressed. And with that, the Alchemist is just going to scurry away. Really can't do anything, and they're going to take a free tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. If not, put some pressure onto the tier 2. Let's see. Rocket, just a scout coming up from the Clockwork, who is back in the well. In the meantime, Luna has been farming up this whole time, falling very low, going for an extremely greedy build, going for the Helm of Dominator as well. It looks like she is stacking Ancients. She has a considerable stack here. Let's see, Luna, very low. If anybody decides to go on her, she'd be very dead, but they don't have the map control to try to do that. And she'll be able to lifesteal up, and she's getting so much farm out of this. And that's going to be the tier 1 and bottom lane 4 staff going to be finished up by the Invoker, so just as casual. Sage's Mask, interesting pickup. Will help him with mana sustain. And could build into Yules. In the meantime, they are going to make it go onto this Gyrocopter. The Poison Touch coming out from the Dazzle. And it's only level 2, so really doesn't do much. And the EMP, as well as the Tornado, going to be enough to pick off the Gyrocopter. The arrow is going to fly and land on the Dazzle, but not really going to do much. See, and Crystal Maiden is going to fall in the woods to the Clockwork, just going to land that hook shot. No, didn't even need the hook shot for that. Just going to pick up a free kill. And it looks like 4 staff is going to be the next pickup for him, and Mass Serpent Wards are going to be dropped, so this tier 2 tower is going to fall very quickly. The makings of a defense are coming. The arrow is going to land on Invoker, which is unfortunate for him. Cogs coming out from the Clockwork, not quite sure what that was about. And EMP going to zone some people off of the tower. Viper going in for the die. He has no more mana left, and the Cold Snap doing a lot of work on this Viper. And the Poison Touch, as well as an Earn Charge. 1 more auto attack. Arrow going to fly onto the Invoker. He's on a mega kill streak, but it looks like he'll be able to be just fine. They're going to be able to TP out. Yeah. So after that team fight win, if we take a look at the graphs, a huge advantage for Cede Nullis. Not really much, or not much that Dark Angels can do at the moment. And they're going to steal all of these creeps that have been stacked in their woods, which is a fairly big economic advantage. They really can't do much except for hope to stack the Ancients and get the Gyrocopter farmed. But his items, just sitting on phase drums. He can't do much. Let's see. And speaking of ancient stacks, it looks like Luna is going to clear out hers. Yasha picked up on her. Not opting to go for the BKB. She really hasn't shown up to any of these fights as of yet. And if she does, I definitely fear for Dark Angels because she's been farming pretty much this whole game. If you look at the net worth, sitting comfortably at the top. The only hero that has any semblance of farm is that Gyrocopter. Everybody else sitting below. The support Dazzle as well. This advantage that Cede Nullis has created in this early game, as well as the mid game, is pretty much unsurmountable at the moment. So look for just a 5-man push down mid. Their team fight very scary, especially if they bring the Luna along, and she'll have Manta Style before long. Those illusions with the bouncing glaives just do a huge amount of damage. Let's see, Gyrocopter back in the fountain, throwing in a little cheeky rocket flare from the clockwork, but not going to land. Crystal Maiden still hasn't upgraded her boots, interestingly enough. Looks like she's just been buying a lot of wards. No last hits, 4 deaths, no kills, no assists. Yeah, I'm not even sure she's had enough money for wards. Let's see. A very sad Crystal Maiden. And with that, Cede Nullis is going to take no chances, going to go into the Roche Pit, and Luna is going to have the Aegis with that. They're going to TP up to the top lane, not going to give away any of these towers for free. Putting that Midas good use, and she will have her Manta Style after just 1 or 2 more creeps. Invoker's throwing out the Tornado, going to catch onto the Alchemist. However, with the regen, I think he'll be okay. But Crystal Maiden needs to be very careful. Arrow to fly, going to land on a creep, and they're going to be diving this, it looks. Posturing around the tier 2 tower. Luna pushing in the top lane, while the rest of her team is handling this mid. And Invoker not really caring about this poison anymore with the 3 quests invoked. He does have plenty of mana regen. Arrow going to fly. Whoops. Let's see. It is going to land on the Shadow Shaman, but nobody's going to be capitalizing on it. In fact, the Viper is the one who's going to get caught out. Not even going to expend any more lockdown on him. Just a couple more auto attacks will be enough. EMP going to burn all of the mana from Dark Angels, and with that, I wouldn't be surprised to see a GG. The Alchemist falling extremely low. Gyrocopter, pretty much their only hope. If he gets like the call down of his life, I'm not sure they really have enough damage either. Crystal Maiden doesn't even have her level 6 yet. And let's see, that's going to be the tier 2 in mid. And it looks like Cede Nullis isn't going to stop there. They're going to push the advantage and go towards the high ground. There's not really anything stopping them. They did drop the Serpent Wards. It is annoying to push into the Assassin Spray. They don't have any creeps as of yet. Arrow going to fly from the Rana, not going to land on anybody. And they're just, oh, actually it did land on the Shadow Storm. I'm sorry for missing that. Didn't follow it all the way. And a defensive weave coming out from the Dazzle. This is going to make it extremely easy to push up into this high ground. The extra armor will make them so tanky. No physical damage really coming out from them. And call down just going to be on Luna and her illusions. It's going to land, but Luna not really caring. And Clockwork going to hook in, just 4-step back out. The EMP going to burn pretty much all of the mana. They can't fight without their spells. And it looks like Alchemist, he does have the sun charging up, but it's not going to land. And Viper's going to be picked off just by the bouncing glaives, as well as the extra damage from a little help from her friends. And that's going to be the racks. If they really want to play it safe, they can push into one of the side lanes. And that's going to be the GG. Well played by both teams. Sun coming out onto the Invoker. That's going to be it. So that's the first game of the PGTL tournament. A very quick one. Well played by both teams, especially Cede Nullis. I don't think that the early game was pushed as hard as Dark Angels could have. They didn't rotate the Crystal Maiden and Alchemist at all, just babysat the Gyrocopter, so weren't able to help out any of those lanes. And if you look at the inventories of Dark Angels, really nothing that helped them. After getting the first blood, or rather, they didn't get the first blood. After getting first blood on that Viper, the lane became increasingly easier for the Invoker. And without that win in mid, or a mech coming out for the Viper, they really couldn't hope to take any of these mid-game team fights with the way that the game unfurled.